Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A Cloud Foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Now the second part is our content fragments. This is another very important topic. Content fragments is also like experience fragments only with respect to the purpose itself. Again, instead of creating the content on multiple pages, to remove the redundancy of content again here, in content fragment, you create the content at content fragment and that content fragment can then be referred on any number of pages. And in future, any change in the content fragment would cause or would lead to the change in the content on all the pages which is referring to content fragment. Now the question is, when we already have an experience fragment that is doing this thing, then what is the purpose of content fragment? The difference is that on an experience fragment, we can create or we use multiple components. Component would be any component that you can use. Component would have its own JS, some CSS. It would have some styling. All the styling, everything images, everything text or any type of component, maybe carousel or text image or any like cards component or tabs, component page text. Anything can be used on XPS segments. But the content and the content fragments, it's not that the component that you can use at content fragment, but in content fragments, you can only place simple text in content fragment. If there is some text, simple text, which is there same on all the pages, then you can create that text on content fragment and can refer that content fragment on all the hundreds or any number of pages. I will tell you now. Now, even you will be thinking that. But what is this? What is the purpose? What the purpose is it serving? I can even do the same thing with experience fragment. I can use some text component or create a text component and I can like place it in the experience fragment. And then what is the purpose? Actually, a content fragment is serving. Don't worry, we will see more of this content fragment. Let's firstly create a simple content fragment like the way we created experience fragment. To create content fragment, remember content fragments are, there is no specific link like this. Like here we have experience segment link, but for content fragment there is no specific link like this because content fragments are a part of our assets hierarchy. Here, inside the assets, or basically inside the dams, is the place where content fragments are being created. If I will go below the assets and with the files, and here there should be sample project, and we can create a folder and let me name it as content fragment. Content fragments, and let's create this thing. Simple folder is what I've created and let me go inside this and now if you will create then you can see there is an option to create content fragment. Now we can create a content fragment where there will be some text that we can input inside the content fragment, and then that content fragment can then be referred on any number of pages. Again, by using an out-of-box content fragment component provided by AEM. Now again, like the same way we for creating pages or for creating experience fragment, we use templates. In the same way, for creating content fragment also, we use templates over here. But the only difference is in the naming convention for the templates for content. Fragments are called as content fragment models. Content fragment models are the templates for content fragment view through which we create content fragment. If I create a content fragment, it will ask me for the template or the content fragment model. Always remember this term, content fragment model, because these are not called as templates and basically it is called as content fragment model. One thing I told you now. Here, let me just select this template and do it next. And let me say first content fragment, and let me just create it. Done, open and pretty simple. Like here, you will see inside the content sample, you have this. What is this here? Content fragment is getting created. Let's just wait for this to get open. Now, if you see here, you get a text area. Why did you get text area? Because inside your template or inside the content fragment model, there is a way defined. This is defined that you can only put text inside a text area. We will discuss next how you will create a content fragment model, and then how you can select it, how you can choose different type of field like number field, text field. If you want, this is here, this is a part, this is just my, like this, my content fragment model has only text area. Like, let me input some text first, CF content. And let me just save it. And let me again go back to my AEM into the sites. Again, let me just go back to AIM Start Sites and my sample project in US. And let me just go back to AIM Start Sites and just create a new page. Again, some template I have to select, and let me name it as an segment page. And let me create it. Let me just say open, and this page is getting open. And now I will choose the content fragment. More the component. Here I have my content fragment, and let me choose my content fragment. Here, if I will, where is my sample? Here, content fragment and my first content fragment. Let's just say, and you can see my content has started appearing over here. The one that we created over here. Is that the content fragment? This is where we created our content fragment. And now here we can refer or use this content, fragment the content, or basically the text that we created. Now the main thing. There are few things that we will be creating now. The first thing is now, You understood the simple concept of what is a content fragment, how would you create it, and how would you use it on your page. What is basically the purpose of this? Now comes the main thing, that the first thing that I'm going to tell you is how you will create content fragment models. And the second thing which I will tell you is content as a service. That content as a service will actually tells you the purpose of content fragments. Why exactly are we using content fragments? Because as of now, you would be thinking that what is this useless thing? This is like of no use. But when you will see the content fragment model, you will understand. Or we call it as Headless CMS. Let's firstly discuss about content fragment models, that is templates for content fragment. As of now, you just saw, while creating the content fragment, I was only having the text area. There was only text area. And the text area is where I can input text. But now, if you wanted to have more field, maybe number field or text field or some more, then you have to create a new content fragment model or template for content fragment. Now, first thing, if you remember, do you remember? I told you there is a particular hierarchy below which our templates are being created, like below apps. We have our code. Below content, discontent forms is users and jobs. Do you remember under which hierarchy are our templates stored or templates created? Change under chassis. It's basically the conf hierarchy where your content fragment, where all the type of template, whether it's page. When I say page template, I mean page and experience segment, both, because both are exactly same. There's no difference. But the templates for content fragment or content fragment models are a bit different. But those also are stored below conf hierarchy only. If I go below this hammer icons, and here you have your configuration browser. You see this thing. Firstly, you have now let me also open my CRXT. That will help you better understand the thing. Let me just close this and open the conf hierarchy. Here I have my conf hierarchy. Here I have my sample. Here I have my sample for now. And here one first important thing is that now if you want to create your content fragment models below the conf hierarchy is where you need to create your, of course, below the conf hierarchy, it gets created. There is no doubt there is no other location where you can create the template. Now, since it belongs to our sample project, we need to create below the sample folder. First thing, what you have to do is you have to give the permissions to the sample folder, that is this folder, to allow the creation of content and fragment models or templates of content fragment. This is my sample folder. Here I have my configuration browser. And configuration browser basically says the browser for our conf folder, because as you can see, configuration browser con browser. If I go below this, it's nothing. You can see the URL is changed. You can see it went inside the conf hierarchy. It's showing me all the folders that I have over here. I have the global sample screen retail weekend, all these folders, what you can see over here. Now, since you need to create your template below the sample folder, here I have my sample. Let me just select this, open the properties, and now here comes the important thing. Here it says that below the sample project folder, you can create the editable template. That is very good thing. And some contact subsegment that is different. But here this content fragment model that you can see it's unselected. If you have to create the content fragment model, you have to select this. And the time I will save this. You will see below the settings there is a new folder with the name DAM that will get created because our content fragment should be below the DAM hierarchy. Let me just save it. And let me just refresh it over here. You can see the DAM folder has been created automatically. This was the first step where what we did is again. I'm showing you below the hammer. You have the configuration browser and you have to go and tell which folder you want to create your editable templates or content fragment model. That correspondingly radio button should be selected. Like here inside this, here I have this selected. Now, once you did this, now you can create your content fragment models. Again, I will go to the tools and here you have the assets. Here, if you go below, you can create the content fragment models over here. I will go over here and you can see it's again below the font hierarchy only. And here, since you wanted to create a sample project, I will go below the sample. It says no item content, fragment model currently exists. If you wanted to see the one that we were previously using, maybe it may be below the font folder. Here you have this. If I edit this, let's see what is inside this. I think it should be a text area because this may be the one which we were using. I'm not sure. No, this is not the one. Which one were we using? Let me just go back to the hammer icon assets and again to our content fragment models. Maybe the retail one. Let's see. Not this one as well. We will see that later. Let's firstly do our thing. Below the models, we have our sample project and here we can go create a first content fragment model. Or let me write the complete name. Let's create this and open this. Here you can see how easy is it to create your template or content fragment model. It's simple drag and drop. You can see I drag this and here you can see it say it should be text field or multi-field. Let's make it simple. And let's say first name. Property name, anything like you can do. First name placeholder default value if you wanted to give length. If you wanted to make it require placeholder default value. If you want to add some other type like number field. Number field, it's a number field and let's give it a name as page. Placeholder enter age. Choose type, whether it's an integer or whether it can be a fraction. Let's say simple default value, maybe 1 or required. If you want to add some other like date type boolean or multi-line text, all these things can be used. Let's use this multi-line. Let's see. I think this is text area. This is text area. property name, and some rich text or markdown or plain text. Let's say rich text. And let's save this. Let's save this for now. We save this and out. See these. Those were the types that were available. Let me open again this. Let me just again edit this. These are the type of fields that you can use in your content statement model. These are the ones that are available. You cannot use anything out of this. This is like you can say restriction or whatever you can say. This is like creating like a particular component for content fragment, right? It's not component, but it's a template. Like I will show you like this is the template that you've created. Now you can use this to now create your content fragment. And when you will be creating the content fragment by using this particular model, then you will get these as your input. You can say it as a dialogue, but basically it's a template. In the same way you can use others, but here I have my simple content fragment model created. What I did is, firstly, I gave the permission to my folder by going to this configuration browser. And then below the assets, I created my content. Now let's again go to my my DAM hierarchy below the assets. And again, let's now try to use my this new content fragment model to create my content fragments. Let me go again and create a new content fragment. And you can see your first content fragment model over here. This is the content fragment model that we created. And let me say next, and the title, let me give it as new CF content fragment. Simple new content fragment and open. And here you can see you can add all these fields are mandated. Major age is like let's say 30 addresses. This is not only this text area, but I can use these also as my fields for inputting my content fragments. Let me just save it. And I have my new content fragment created. One more thing over here. Here I created my content fragment over here. Let me go back to the assets, Serati again. Here we created our content fragment with a sample project. Let's consider if you wanted to create a little bit of retail event. It's just simple the folder change that I'm planning. Here it's the weekend event. I wanted to create the same experience, content fragment by using the same content fragment model. Again, I will select the content fragment, but here you see, you cannot see the new content fragment model. The new template, right? That's very good. New template. The new template or the new content fragment model. Again, the purpose is that the new content fragment model that you created is not available below this folder. What you have to do is just click on this, select and go to the properties of this. We have the properties, and here in this properties, we have our cloud services or cloud settings. There you cloud services, and there you need to provide the path of the folder where you have created that content fragment. You said below the conf hierarchy, I have the screens. Sorry, not the screen. It's a sample where my content fragment model says, I will select this, save and close. And now if you will again go below the weekend and just try to create again the content fragment. And now you can see it's available over here. And in 60. Now if you go below this sample setting depth. Now, if I refresh this, you can see this is your content fragment model created over here, which would have all the fields. Let me just again go to all the steps. We create our content fragment below the assets folder. But now, if you wanted to create your content fragment model, that is a template, what you have to do is put the hammer icon. And here, inside the configuration browser, you have to select the folders below which you can, or you should be able to create a content fragment model. Like inside the weekend, if I select the properties here, you can see it can only create the development. If you wanted to create the content fragment model, just select this and save it. And now you can go to the hammer, to the assets. And here you have the content fragment model. Just select this and now you can see your weekend and retail is also coming. You can go and create your content fragment model over here. And then, finally, you can create your content fragment by using the newly created content fragment model by selecting the content fragment. Correct, or the newly created one. In case if it's not visible, just select the folder. Go to its properties inside the cloud services. You have to select the path over here. Don't worry if it's not clear. I know many people face issue over here because multiple steps are over here. I have also created a word for this, which I will share with you by the end. This cloud service, it's when we decide to give a particular folder or project access to model, right? But if we want to give them from the beginning, then we can go from configuration browser, right? Absolutely. Instead of having the spawn sample, you can do it like this. Basically all the content fragment templates or content fragment model would be available below this. Available for this one. Now let's go to the another important thing, that is spend less CNS or content as a service. Where did we created this? Headless CMS or content as a service. When I say headless CMS, it means that the CMSs or the website, any web, or basically a CMS without a head. Without a head means that there is backend thing that is working, but frontend is not working within CMS. But there may be some other technology where the front-end thing will be working and AEM would be working behind the scenes. That is headless CMS. AEM is not the head, but it is the tail. And in the backend, AEM is doing the working or is preparing some content and code. And on front end, maybe some other technology. Maybe some website is using some other technology in the front end, maybe React or something like this or some Java. But since React or Java are not seamless, and in case like consider, let me open this parallel, also open this ICICI website. Consider this ICICI Bank website is built on Java, but Java is not seamless. Now if you would see that, see they have a lot of value like a lot of interest rate. Like here, you can see these interest rates and these interest rates keeps on changing, maybe on a daily basis. But since this ICICI Bank website is or any banking website is built on Java, these values, how will they change these values? Of course, they want to change it. That change will of course be in their code base, maybe in some HTML or in some JSP files. Now, every time making a change in your code base and deploying it is very hectic or very time consuming work. To overcome this, what we do is that the front end your application is built using Java, but in the tail or in the back end at AEM, we will be preparing the content and we will be exposing the content in a JSON format which your website or which your Java application can access by using simple HTTP, ATP APIs and can read that. And they will get that JSON as the response. And then they can show this value on their website. AEM is preparing the content and exposing the content in the JSON format, and your front-end application can read that content by using simple HTTP client APIs. Let's do one thing over here. Here we have this first content fragment that we just created here. If I open this, edit this. Here we created not this one. We also created the other one, the new CF. Now let me just duplicate this and let me go to the home page. What we did is we referred this content fragment inside of a page. In the same way, we can reference that experience fragment. Let me just create an experience fragment. And here let's say see a content as a service content headless. Headless experience fragment. And let me just create this, open this, and I have this experience fragment created. Now the way you refer this content fragment by using the content fragment on the page. The same way I can use the content fragment on my experience segment as well. Because experience segment are nothing but pages only. And let me select the experience fragment. It was inside my sample and this new CF. And let's just see. Now what I did is nothing. As of now, I have done nothing. What I did is the same what I was doing on my page, where on my page I was using the content fragment. I am using again the same content fragment component to refer my content fragment inside. Now inside experience fragment. Now you have this experience fragment. Let me just do one thing. Let me just remove the editor. And after master we have .html. Let's remove this HTML and write model.json. Simply remove that HTML and write model.json. And you see, it exposed the content in the JSON format. All the content that was there in your content fragment is now exposed in the JSON format by using this simple .model.json. Now you can ask, or this ICICI Bank website, what they will do is they can call this simple API by using simple HT client a client can refer this. They will get the JSON response. And then accordingly what in this JSON we can expose this a percentage, maybe this starting saving account or fixed account or every personal loan percentage. And these will be immediately will be updated on the ICICI or any banking website. Now it is considered. Now this value got changed. What they will do is they will change it over here. Let's consider this is the age. Ages. This is not age, or maybe this is some percentage. Here it got changed into 40. Let me just save it. Let's see if it's reflected in our JSON as well. Here you can see the value of ages. It is updated. This way, here AEM is not only creating the content, but it is also exposing the content in the JSON format. Here, since it is exposing the content, AEM is not the end view of the website, but it is working behind the scene and exposing the content, and your actual application can refer or can call this JSON and can get the content from here. This is Headless CMS. Without doing anything, you create the content and you expose the content to the outside world in the JSON format. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.